All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another Twitter Space. Today is October 17th, 2022, and this is episode 60 of the ledgerscale Internet of Value Open Forum. Now, ledgerscale Foundation was founded with two goals in mind. One, we want to provide educational services to not only our community, but to the entire digital asset community, and to help scale up the number of brains that understand how distributed ledger technology works. And two, we intend to one day run hardware to provide infrastructural support to all of the distributed ledger technology networks that we believe are ESG friendly and running a form of decentralized consensus. Now we host these spaces Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, starting at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, and on Wednesday we host a focus topic space from 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. And if I could just ask if everyone could follow us on Twitter at ledgerscale, turn the notifications on so you know when we're going live, and as well as at the bottom right, if everyone could like and retweet the space so that hopefully other people can find this information valuable in the future. And I know, maybe Karma's having some technical difficulties today. I'm sure he'll be in here in a minute. I'm just gonna send some invites up, but I'm just happy to see same faces every single day. You guys are awesome for coming, and we wouldn't be hosting these if it wasn't for the information that was shared and talked about from all of the great minds that we really do meet every day, and like new people every day too. I love it.
What's up, guys?
Welcome up there.
How you doing, folks?
I'm doing pretty good today, actually. Good day.
Nice.
It's been a good day. Nice weather, easy day. I'm happy.
Awesome. It's not.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
we had that one crazy person on Twitter, but other than that, that's been good.
A crazy person on Twitter?
Yeah. Just
I was just reading that.
I missed that probably.
yeah, I had to mute it. It was no. Sometimes there's no point.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder, because Carmen was up earlier. I wonder if he maybe is sleeping right now.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
You gotta phone him.
Anyway, how was your day going, Vet? Chris?
Oh, so far so good, man. Not much going on. I'm just thinking about getting an iPad because I think I need it because I'm sick of carrying this laptop with me. Yeah, because it's so freaking old. I was to keep it alive. It has some issues with the power button and even more, I think. So what's happened is if I take it with me to the university, I have to take my charger with me, a screwdriver, because if I open and close it more than 3 times, when something happens, I think with the battery, and although I put a new one in there, but what's happening is it doesn't turn on anymore. So I have to take the screwdriver, open the back, take the battery connector off from the motherboard, then connect the charger to the computer. So it's taking only electricity from the wall, but not from the battery. then I turn it on, then I turn it off, then I connect the battery back to the motherboard, then I screw it back, and then I have again 3 times to close it and open it. Yeah, it's shitty. I have to get a new one, but there are new ones coming, right? I think the M2 Pro MacBooks. I would rather get them, so I don't want to, buy hardware that is already out for 2 years almost. It's always the same stuff, right? So, are you waiting
Oh,
for the new stuff?
you got to do it. It's great. I love that I just bought an M1. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to Turkey on vacation, and I was thinking this is perfect opportunity to get finally a really good MacBook because you know supposedly it's cheaper there, with the currency and everything. But to my shocking, it was way more expensive than where I'm coming from. So at least it was $600-700 more expensive. So I was like, what I'm doing, like I'd rather buy it at home, not here. So
Well,
yeah, I
that's a
skipped
lot.
that. Yeah, 600-700. I mean, the laptop is like $2,200 in where I'm come from, and there it was like close to $3,000. It was like, for that price difference, I can get a Mac, I can get an iPad, and probably new headphones. you know.
So surprisingly, I have the MacBook Air and the iPad Air, and I got the keyboard case for the iPad Air, and it is like twice as heavy as the damn MacBook Air. So you might as well just bring the MacBook everywhere.
Yeah, probably.
Well, is that your choice? Is it between MacBook or Apple tablet?
No, it would not replace it because I need it for. I mean, you cannot code on the MacBook
Yeah.
on the iPad. But
Why not?
the no, you cannot.
But
It's BS.
what if you
You
don't?
don't have. There's no editor, the good one. I would need to plug in a keyboard, then it would probably work. But you cannot install all these packages. You have no real terminal, and I mean, probably it's experimental. Okay, probably experimental. So not gonna do it. The thing
It
is,
works.
yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Um, the thing is, the my laptop is working if I use it stationary, right? So I have it next to my monitor, no issues, right? It's in clamshell mode, so I just have it closed and plugged in, everything good. The thing is, if I just use it portable, then all these issues come up. So I need something portable, and believe it or not, you don't really code much in a university because it's just taking notes and all that.
Yeah,
So I'd
typical.
rather do that.
Cool. Just memorize what we're saying. Don't actually do it though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I really cannot. I need somehow my place, my desk and the cozy feeling at home. Because even when I was on vacation, I bought a very very cheap laptop because it was supposedly XS20 coming out, and I had to finish some stuff up. It was not really, I wasn't in the mood to do that stuff. So yeah, I need my place. I cannot do it on the go, and also not in other places.
So if you get the iPad, I'll set you up a VM that you can connect to on your iPad.
Yeah, then you can do it probably because then you code on the server. But this is no, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. I need something real. I'm already experimenting with the whole thing. Like I threw the Mac OS stuff out. I installed Linux on it. It works great, but um, I have to install the webcam driver. So I didn't have a webcam for meetings. Then I installed the stuff, but it was pixelated, and the developers on GitHub weren't like pushing. It's a mess, you know. So I want something that works out of the box, and I don't want to mess with it. So yeah. But hey, for the iPad, I would actually get a refurbished one. I think because they are really in good condition, and um, they cost at least $200-300 less. So I have no issues with someone who just unpacked that thing, looked at it, and sent it back. And they sell them for cheaper. It's like these refurbished ones, and yeah. Oh, we have Tony here. Tony GM. Long time, long time no see.
I sent them an invite twice. I hope
Yeah.
I just be listening. But
Yeah. He's
Shellfish,
busy.
Shellfish, you earlier were looking into the smart city that Toyota was building, and I'd love to hear if you got any more like information about like the I want to call it the Internet of Value city that they're building in Japan.
The Woven City is the name of it, and I think it's the second city over there. I think Seoul has the first smart city that was being developed, but the connections I made were basically Sony has. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I was like in the middle of getting ready to code again. There was like a whole feed I had done. I don't know. So Sony had some smart city chips that they were manufacturing and testing in Rome right now for the automated cars. There was a partnership with something called Aleka for payments, which I'm assuming because it's all connected to the automated cars. So maybe the car payments, because you were saying something about being able to pick up a car within 3 minutes. So I'm assuming that's going to be some kind of payment system for it. What else do they say? Sony and potentially Jasmine coin, I'm thinking is looking like it's going to be some kind of blockchain that they're going to be using for the interoperability. The board members at Jasmine are like all ex-CEOs of Sony. And like, I don't know, it seems pretty fascinating, all the dots to be connected.
Shellfish, can you pin also some stuff up that you may
Sure,
found?
I would love to. I dove into it I don't know, months and months ago because everybody was talking about Jasmine, and I could not find this white paper, and all of a sudden now this white paper is available. And ironically, when I tagged Jeff in it this morning, it like erased it kind of from my lead and just left his little attachment. So it was kind of weird. But yeah, I'll put all this stuff up there so you guys can check it out. Obviously, it's speculation. It's nothing in stone because I couldn't find the actual Jasmine coin and Sony, but there's so many connections between Sony and I just thought like it was weird that all these CEOs and presidents of Sony are now working at Jasmine.
Well, regardless of whatever token might try to be associating themselves with the project, because it obviously, like anything, like you would see anything sort of association wise like that, you would know it would be like, wow, what is that? Because the city looks so cool, right? And so
yeah, oh my god, awesome, yeah.
Right. So it's definitely a good it's a good marketing attachment to try and attach yourself to, for sure. But other than that, the city itself, I mean, the ability to call food or a taxi or a helipad in 3 minutes and have the vehicle there in 3 minutes and get you anywhere in the city in 15 to 20 minutes, where you have AI optimized to be communicating with each other so that you don't even have to wait at a light, right? They know when to switch the lights, and actually lights don't really need to exist, I guess, in this sense. Stop signs, right? None of this. So the movement, the flow of value actually can exceed what it is today, because there's just so much more interoperability.
Absolutely. And then the other thing was that it's actually sponsored by Toyota. It's Toyota's Woven City, which is pretty fascinating. And I'm sure you tech people already know about this. This was kind of new to me, but what is it called? The IPFS, the Interplanetary File System. And that kind of had a cool connection to Filecoin. And Filecoin had connections to Lockheed Martin, and so it's all like, I mean, they're all working together to make these smart cities just like
Have you heard
So
about the because smart city in my mind comes in Neom. Did you hear of this in Saudi Arabia?
I have not. Is that so? That's another smart city.
Yeah, this is it became very famous because the design of it is a line,
I mean,
just a
Oh,
line.
I
okay.
mean,
Actually, I have, but I didn't
a
realize it was in its name.
gigantic two-sided wall that is literally its structure is solar panels that and the shiny design they really gave it right in that picture. I mean, it's like a utopia, but it's interesting because it's in Saudi Arabia and they have
Exactly.
very strict rules, and so there's almost this inherent fear like you enter, you know, you'll never leave.
Yeah, because they said, or what is it, Bin Salman or whatever, but he said it will be totally different from rest of, like, they will have their own laws, tax laws, everything. It's basically a country within a country, right? And so yeah, it's very very flashy, and also the location of it and the design thought, because it was that you don't need cars and everything is like connected. You can go from one end to another. It's like highly optimized. It will be a lot of cameras, AI, and all this stuff. And it is supposed to attract like a lot of these tech people, right? And yeah, it was very futuristic to me personally. And yeah, as you said, it's actually surprisingly, right, Saudi Arabia.
The other thing was
I I just did a I just read on the Woven City thing about how the three road structure where they would have one for smart vehicles, one for pedestrians, and one for people with personal mobility vehicles. And the one thing that I found fascinating and seemed like kind of like an obvious thing, which I'm really surprised that we don't have here. Like we don't have that infrastructure here. But in the Woven City, it mentioned about the transportation of goods on underground like rails, and I think that's pretty brilliant. And I'm surprised we don't have something like that right now.
This is Woven City, something they
I
have
love to see.
started to build already. I was mixing it with the another smart city, the long wall in the desert. Have anyone seen that city also?
Wolf say which city? What is it?
It's like a long wall,
Oh, I
no,
think that's what
500
that.
meter wide.
Yeah, I think that's what that was. It that was just saying that the one in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a
That's
line.
that's wrong.
Yeah.
They're building them
But
all over the world. Even the U.S. has, I think, 10 different cities right now. The one that I had delved into was the one in Tyler, Texas, by IBM, and Deloitte was actually one of the big people that were helping lay out the groundwork for I think Tyler's.
Honestly, I think I would love to visit such a place, or maybe live for a couple months there. I don't know if I would want to live there forever, because it's like, as you said, utopia, and there is surveillance, probably, like everything. Because hey, and people who go there are probably actually in favor of it, because because they see things like, oh yeah, there should be surveillance because the AI has to be trained and all that stuff.
I think the Toyota one, Woven City. I think I read that it was 2,000 people in the city. So it's probably
2000.
the
Okay.
same. Yeah.
but have they started to build it, Shellfish? And was it
Well,
Toyota? You said?
yeah, it's the Toyota Woven City, and I think it's near Fukushima.
Yeah,
They
they've
did
started
have
that. Yeah.
okay. They had some kind of prayer ceremony. I think back in I think it was like May or June of this year. So either they broke ground or at least they're doing a prayer to like bless the area.
No, you're
Yeah,
right.
it says they broke ground last year.
Damn. I mean, it makes sense that these big projects of building such a vision basically is happening. I mean, in that sense, it's near Japan and everything, right? So, but in the sense for the Saudi Arabia one, it makes kind of sense because for such a project, in my opinion, you need more centralized authority, right, to push these projects over a couple of years. Because let's imagine you have like a democracy, and every 4 years something changes, and maybe like the longevity of these projects need some sort of political sustainability in terms of what they want to do, right?
So you want to hear some really crazy stuff? I was looking into Star L, the meta game, back in fall, and I kept pulling up I think I pulled up 17 pages of these satellites that were being bought up, like millions of dollars. These satellites, and they're for transactions. Like people are going to be able to make money off of them. Well, today I found that Sony has purchased a bunch of satellites. So that might be why they were being purchased, because there are connections with some of the people working at Star L that were at PlayStation, Sony, like all that stuff. And I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. I mean, trying to connect the dots and seeing everything, we won't know until everything's put together, right? But there's there's a bunch of Sony slash PlayStation. Zeno had posted a picture of like the Sony PlayStation handle, like a gaming handle with like the little I'm sorry. Go ahead and talk. I can ramble on forever about like conspiracies or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
It's actually, I don't know if Vet's speaking at the moment. I can't see if he's actually speaking. Right? Isn't Vet speaking?
No,
I'm not speaking. No.
Go ahead, X. Go ahead, and then we'll.
No, it's all good. I just saw their little speaker thing going there. Yeah, just a little thing on the connection thing with the satellites as well. Putting a little bit of two and two together on the ping rate for the Starlink satellites as well. Ping rates, I think the fiber from London to New York is about 60, I think it's 69 or 63 milliseconds to be able to get their signal there. And with Starlink, it's only 23. And heard a bit of a word on the grapevine that might actually have something to do more with the financial system than the just normal communication level as well. So yeah, that's definitely going to make a bit of a difference, isn't it?
Go ahead, Wolf.
Yeah. By the way, Matt, I heard you say that the smart cities would needed some sort of centralized governments, but don't you think it's better to like make some decentralized smart cities where we can vote on things in a more decentralized way than we have today?
Yeah, sure. The thing is, you before you get to this stage, you need, in my opinion, like in my opinion, all these big projects, right, that go over years and years, right? Like these, let's say, China has Vision 2050 or something. Honestly, you cannot do this something like this in the West because we don't know what's in the next legislation basically coming up, right? And they can plan like for such a long term. And also, I think transitioning from such a centralized authority like in Saudi Arabia to something fully decentralized, I doubt, because you would give up power. That you have to compensate to in some shape or form that they would give up that power. Especially if it comes from them. Maybe I'm wrong here, right? Maybe they see, hey, if we don't do it, then we're gonna lose either way our power in the next 10, 15 years. So rather force the decentralization now while we have power, so we can implement some things or whatever, or shape it to our liking, and not later on when we lose complete power because there's whatever is going on. Maybe this is the thing, but I think it's rather the first one. That decentralization only where it makes sense, right? If that makes sense.
I think it's kind of like what I guess what the saying is like all all types of like governance is emergent. You know, you can like I think that one of the analogies somebody said was like you can take all the money out of everybody's hands and distribute it equally across, you know, the world, and it'll end up in the same, you know, few percent hands again. You know, it's like governance is like emergent. You could decentralize everything. You could tear everything down to the ground level, and you know, centralization will just emerge again because you know people have a natural tendency to want to be led.
You know, this is the truth, and this is something Karma says all the time, right? Right, we go from these decentralized society to a distributed society to a centralized society. Sorry, I might have messed that up. Sorry. Yeah, centralized, uh, centralized to decentralized to distributed, and then back. And it's just like kind of this cycle that humanity, um, you know, goes through it over the last couple thousand years.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
this is maybe one of those reasons why is most people kind of feel that way, in a sense.
I mean,
think once we are decentralized now, it will be stay that way for another direction that you guys might think, but
I don't know. Centralization is horrible. I personally don't enjoy it really that much.
You know, I have actually a lot of friends who think, hey, for them it's rather, you know, good to live in a country where it's more, you know, centralized. There's a centralized authority, whatever you want to call it. Especially in Asia, it is very popular to have such a model of governance. In the sense of you go where you basically like the ideas of that centralized authority, right? So if you fully align with the ideas, let's say with Saudi Arabia, right, then there is actually no better place for you to go to as Saudi Arabia, right? And same like for each other country that you know can mention, and I think this is where basically many um, are kind of waking up to, especially you know politics, right? People see what's going on right now. It's a lot of populism, inflation. People are getting hurt. So you know, in times like these, people want leadership. People want more of this continuity, centralized something that who just basically says, "Hey, we're gonna do this direction," right? And in many cases, right, or it's up and coming, right, and with all benefits and you know disadvantages basically that such a movement would have. So you know,
it's funny. There is a lot of well-disciplined servants out there that actually love centralization. So it's true that.
yeah.
Sorry, Connor.
No, as I said, the problem with populism is when people they just fight with each other, and then you can tear a whole country apart.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
look like the polarization, and you see it in Europe, you see it in America. Like this isn't healthy. It's not healthy. It's better to have people coming together instead of fighting with each other.
I mean, see, it's a total also different spirit we are living in right now, right? I mean, if you look back into the '60s and '70s, especially, right? Especially in the West, right? It was such a different mindset. People thought we can do everything, right? Um, we we went to the moon, right? We built the Concorde, right? Who is flying basically from London to New York in 3 hours, in less than 3 hours, you know, with Mach 2 and hypersonic and everything. Like, you know, like these projects, we're all in this time, right? In this time frame, and I think we live right now in a total different one, you know, where people are more thinking of, you know, hey, how can we do these things more in a digital way? How can we improve other things? But less so a long-term vision, right? And some countries or some other places have this long-term vision, either good or bad, and maybe in the West we do kind of lack of this, right? We just look, hey, to the next election. So, you have like these both sides. I think are kind of also come to some places where they, face each other. Let's say you see it in Ukraine, you see it in Taiwan, where you have like, the the other part, and you have the West, and coming together and having disputes.
Well, in some sense, disputes are okay. They're a form of how do you say that? It's the way the dispute is done that can be like kind of good or bad. It's when people don't have any dispute, they don't communicate at all, then you've got a real problem. Like, people are like, I mean, I don't like arguing, but if people are like arguing or, having a dispute, at least they're communicating. And I know that sounds bad, but yeah, I mean, at least there's something going on there. Hopefully it doesn't turn into like a war, like a kinetic war or anything, but
Yeah.
At least there's some kind of communication. When there's no communication, now you're in real trouble.
Yeah, and by the way, I would have loved to fly the Concorde, because I'm a huge aviation fan.
Oh, I was going to say, you know why the Concorde could only fly over the ocean?
Yeah, because of the they had to stop because it was just too noisy over residence area. So only over the ocean it was permitted for them to fly over the sound of speed of sound.
Yeah, the sonic boom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Sonic boom.
You can't have like a rolling sonic boom across the country because it scares people.
Yeah, which also led to them being not or not able to operate economically, right? Because they were not as fast as they promised to or had to be. So yeah, I mean, aviation.
Now they got the ones, have you seen them, where they go up? I don't even know what to call them. They go up, but like almost like a spaceship. Like they go up and then come down on the other side of the earth. Like, but they go like way up.
What was that? Traveling mechanism you're talking about, Conrad?
Yeah.
They use basically the space, right? So being in the outer space, not outer space, but you get in the first orbit,
right?
And travel there. Yeah.
In order to travel in 3 hours from London to New York, you said, was that travel?
You could go all over the world. Like
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, I was reading something, and it was like with the military, or like like troop transport. Like if you wanted to put troops anywhere in the world, like on short notice, they could. You basically, it's not really a spaceship, but it just goes way the hell up and then comes back down.
Yeah, I mean, you have to build them obviously way more different, and this is, I think, where the cost factor comes in. But usually, it's definitely true. Like the higher, the better for fuel economy as well, right? And speed. So all the business jets, for example, they fly way higher than normal airliners. I think they fly at 55,000 feet or something, and airliners max out at 42. So you have these levels.
I had no idea about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they fly actually way higher. Therefore, they can travel also faster, and they have a longer nautical mile range that they can fly to.
Yeah.
Sweet. So that's the future of travel then, instead of making regular flights.
I think we're gonna stay with this model for a long time, because it's been proven supersonic flight is not economically benefit, and it's also the whole structure has to change. If you look at the Concorde, it looks like a fighter jet, right? It is basically one, and everything has to be changed. And the wings, the fuel is way higher. You have the turbines where they have basically also these afterburners, and it's a whole lot of stuff that you have to add on top of it that is not right now in the sense of the time. I mean, we see right now that even the four engine mounted um, jets are basically getting sorted out slowly. You have the 747, the A380, you have the A340, but that one died already. Who get sorted out, and you have like these two engine airliners who are basically dominating the whole industry.
You know a lot about jets.
Yeah, actually, I know. I worked for a very large airline in data management and everything. So basically, yeah, for the training and everything for the pilots. There's these simulators, and there's a whole machinery behind it, and analytics and everything. So yeah, I worked there.
2 years ago, I celebrated my 1,000th landing.
Do you fly? What do you fly?
I don't. Well, I had a logbook. I was working on a license, but no, I don't. I don't fly. That's just flights. I've landed in plane.
Oh, flights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
1,000 landing.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
Yeah, there's a flight school where I'm at, and yeah, it's interesting. You get to talking to some of these guys because there's one of those. There's a guy. He's got one of those. It's like the best airplane at the end of World War One. It's like a dual wing. It's like what the Red Baron would have flown. Except the guy's got it all blacked out, and he flies around town all the time and does tricks and stuff. It's pretty neat. It's slow. Like, you wonder how the thing doesn't fall out of the air. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
And if you think about it, it's like a huge that the market is absolutely dominated by Boeing and Airbus, right? Which is pretty interesting because they approximately, right, 50% it is divided among them. I mean, there's Bombardier and Embraer, I think. One is a Brazilian manufacturer, and the other one is a Canadian, actually. I think, what is it? Bombardier, I think, is a Canadian one. I'm not sure, but one of them is the Canadian one, and they partnered up with the bigger ones. So they were like two small ones, and they basically dominated the regional jet business, where the others have the wider domestic and international flight business dominated, and they partnered with each of them basically. So I think Bombardier partnered with Airbus and Embraer with Boeing, but I think the latter one didn't came together for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Well,
Bombardier is Canadian.
Yeah,
I read an article the other day, and it was, I think, a Canadian company that had like a commercial scale electric jet. I guess I don't know if you'd call it a jet, an electric airplane. But I didn't think that was feasible. So I don't know if maybe this was a hype article, because
Yeah,
I didn't
go ahead.
I didn't think we had the physics right to do electric. I mean, maybe on like a glider or like a little something, but not on like a commercial scale where you could put passengers and cargo and stuff. I didn't think we could get it
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. The thing is with I think they're just not powerful also enough, right? And for the range, like you have the range thing is a huge issue, and they need to be powerful. And what you have to think about, if you fuel the aircraft, you have to basically fuel more fuel just to carry the fuel, right? Because it's weight. So you have to carry more fuel because you have so much fuel with you. So, but the benefit is, um, as you're in a high altitude and you burn that fuel, you become lighter and lighter. You can climb higher, and that would that effect, which is very very important actually in aviation, wouldn't also be that effective with batteries, right? I mean, if you discharge a battery, do you lose really weight? I don't know. Um, this is a thing, and weight in general, I would say, because batteries, I think, high capacity ones are heavier than if you just have fuel, right, with you. And
I don't know that you would use batteries. It would probably be like a little commuter plane, something to replace like a turboprop, and you would use capacitors. So you would charge up the capacitors, and you would take off, and it would just be basically, if something went wrong with the capacitors, you could just kind of glide back down. Is my guess. I've never looked into this electric plane, but yeah, you wouldn't want to do batteries. Batteries,
yeah,
really is going to be so heavy.
I'm thinking it's light batteries with capacitors and some sort of electromagnetic magnetation going on, right, to create, I guess, the flow of electricity. Because yeah, you're right. It's my guess to what new technology was probably going to come out.
I mean, even if you could do the takeoff on capacitors, would be pretty beneficial.
I mean, even with capacitors, you would. I mean, the thing is, you would fuel maybe with hydrogen or something. I mean, this would be a thing, where then have these motors who turn it into electricity, and then you run that stuff. That would be interesting.
The problem with
Actually,
though is like you're a flying bomb.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you fly.
So
You're a flying bomb either way.
Go ahead, Wolf.
I was reading a article or a post from dev.to, or what it's called again, earlier today about the EVM sidechain. I was just wondering, is there different bridges that will be between the sidechains and the main chain?
I think they were referencing Evernode, in that personally.
Yeah, you have the same feel.
But other than that, there was something interesting today, and then Kashta wanted me to bring it up. I was hoping he might not be able to talk right now, but Hugo made a comment that I've kind of said a whole bunch of times, but Hugo said federated sidechains could easily interconnect with Flare or Songbird using the layer cake protocol.
There is no more federated.
But I thought maybe earlier that the interledger protocol maybe would help to pack from sidechains to main chain. Is that not as I thought at all? Will they use other bridges?
Karma, do you know something about that?
Well, I still don't have layer cake's one of those things. It's like I've gotten it a couple of times, but I don't have it fully straight in my head. And the interledger protocol methods you could use, but you'd have to see with interledger protocol, you have the connector rule, which is like what the agent or the federator or the connector, whatever, and that's like a market making rule. So they hold an inventory of, asset A on ledger A and asset B on ledger B, and then they make a market between the two. I think with federated side chains, I think this situation, because I've struggled with understanding this, but I think what the situation is that with a federated side chain, like let's say there's also XRP on the side chain, and I've gotten several answers to this question, and I'm not sure which answer is correct, or maybe they're all correct. I don't know. But like why would you not call, say, Flare a federated side chain, right?
This was also my thought. Like, it would perfectly fit, right? I mean, you could do that.
Well, and if you can have like FXRP, then you have XRP on the side chain, you have the main net, or I mean Flare would be the side chain in this case. But no, I think federated side chains are supposed to be more like kind of like little sisters of the main net.
Well, in this sense, if you are connected to the federated sidechain, right? So, in the instance of a federator being used to connect to the API using, a layer cake, right? Is that not another federated sidechain, right? You're part of the federated unit. I would think that's just another federated sidechain in my eyes, personally, right? I think they're all, in that sense, just federated or sidechains to each other.
So you basically nested them? Like you have a sidechain and the sidechain?
You could, yeah. I mean, I think the whole idea is like horizontal scaling. So you can have, horizontal scaling plus like allowing for innovation that doesn't affect the main net. Like say you want to put hooks on a ledger. You can do that on a federated sidechain, even though it's not approved on mainnet. So you could go run your business logic on the network that had the hooks enabled, and then connect the value back to the mainnet, right? And then so you can like do more innovation and stuff as well.
Yeah, but you know what surprises me is I think it's also reflected by the grants right now. I would love to see more projects actually, utilizing this stuff, right? In terms, I mean, hooks, you can test hooks already, and you can also play with the AMM already. And I would actually love to see projects actually utilizing that stuff right now, because we talked about, like sidechains, right? Which there's also, I think there's a very nice one prepared by a community member on GitHub. It's basically a complete package. Like you can take that and run it, and you basically deployed your sidechain. It's amazing, and play with it. And this is what I mean. Like if we would have like more people play with it and exploring stuff that you can do there, I think that would be awesome, really. Because right now it's I don't see much movement, and this is where I also sometimes get a bit mad, because it's sometimes a bit too much NFTs for me. Although I'm a huge fan, and I like it, but I also want that other stuff to prosper and being getting attention.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Ben. At the end of the day, there's just still a lack of development for people to build actually these applications that can use a lot of the functionality that you're referring to, right? Like if it's just an NFT, it doesn't need all of this particular functionality. But the people who are doing financial services, right, they have a lot of incentives to have a lot of this additional functionality. So I think we're just still in a state where we're all still waiting for some killer developers to then come and develop some awesome applications.
Yeah, but people in order to attract everyone who has like a lot of money and or is a big player in other businesses or whatever you want to call it, we need actually just community basically playing with it and getting attention to these things, right? Because as a matter of fact, we have the decks like since since inception basically and creation, but nobody give a fuck, right? Basically, you need to promote these things, you need to build stuff for it, so people use it.
That's one of the things that originally attracted me. I was like, holy cow, you see how much functionality, like it's like that was where I was like, they can't be giving this software away open free, like open source, I mean, for free.
Yeah, I mean, but we have a large percentage of XRP holders, and I would say probably 95% who don't even know that the XRPL has a DEX. They just know XRP. There's Ripple. It will cross border, and that's it. Hopefully, $100 soon, so I can retire. That's it. They don't have in mind all these innovations that are upcoming and all this. We are a very, very small group. Trust me. Like you can go and talk with XRP people. XRP people, they have no clue what's going on.
That's why we're here, Vet. That's why we're here. We're here.
Yeah, and I love it.
We're ground floor.
Ground floor.
Yeah, but you're kind of making my point, Vet. It's like at the end of the day, a lot of those people are not going to know about the functionality until that utility has some kind of functionality that makes a difference to how they're trying to use it and what they're using it for.
Shellfish, you can go ahead. You do it.
I'm sorry, I was kind of
always polite.
Flipped pages where I was like, no, yeah. I'm sorry. This was that company that I told everybody about like months and months ago that XSL Labs out of France, and they are connected with the EVM with Flare. I don't know if anybody's checked them out, but they've got a bunch of stuff like digital ID, gaming, dating apps. Like there's a ton of stuff that they're. Is that not what you guys are looking for?
It was a little hard for me to hear you, Shellfish. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, it's okay. So if you go to the bubble box, I just took a screenshot of it. I can link the page itself too, but it's XSL20 Labs, or not 20 X. What is it? I'm sorry, XSL Labs. They're based out of France, and I took a screenshot of the 2 pages that actually talked about Flare Network, but it talks about migrating from the Ethereum network with the EVM to Flare Network.
Are they? Is it like a big company or anything? What's the name of the company, or is this a project on ETH?
I'm gonna link the page itself. I just happened to find them on BuyTrue months and months ago, and they list Flare in their white paper. I'll go ahead and post it in there again. Like I'm not as tech savvy as you guys, so maybe you can see it. It does talk about the federated Byzantine agreement, whatever, as well.
Yeah, what I have to say is everything stays pretty much flexible, and things are changing so quickly here. The things you have never heard of, or long time, are suddenly coming back in a different form, right? So we heard about Codius and everything, and when last time Bojack came in, and he was like, basically describing the vision and the purpose of Evernote. He then outlined it has the best chance to be what Cody has tried to be, right? Basically, and then it make sense to me that this is basically a restart or repurpose of the actual vision, but reworked so it makes sense to the current environment that we are in, right? So the same what you basically said, that things are mentioned basically back then. Sometimes they surface at another place, right? In a different form. So these things are always interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make sense to me back then either. So, but the fact that they had Flare listed in their white paper, I thought was kind of significant. So it always stuck out.
I mean, we see this also with X-Pool, right? X-Pool, and then we have like this liquidity hub and thing, and then we saw the automated market maker, and then it made sense again, right? That these things come up and sometimes in a different form, but they have the same goal. But they just need to be a rework, right? If you start working on something that is going to be deployed maybe in 2-3 years, it's probably going to look totally different later than when you started. So, or even
Do any of you guys think that we could just suddenly out of the blue have hooks or AMM ready already before end of the year somehow?
that's what do you think?
And end of next year or this year? Which one did you mean?
No, I mean end of this year.
Maybe end of next year.
Yeah, I would say too.
They were saying at Apex that they thought that maybe the AMM amendment could get proposed as early as October, but I mean,
yeah, the AMM. Yeah, that's right. David did say that sometime in quarter 4 they'll probably release it to the GitHub, right, to be pushed and see if the nodes vote on the consensus of it. But I think he was talking about hooks and Evernode.
Yeah, hooks will definitely take time, I'm pretty sure. It's just random guess. I have no clue, right? Just random guess, totally random. Maybe we're gonna see something with testing. Yeah.
Quarter 2, maybe next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe then if everything goes well, but if not, then we see something like with NFTs, right?
Yeah, let's see the volume and the traffic increase and see what happens with NFTs first. Let's give it a good amount of time.
Exactly.
The last thing we need to do is compromise the logic on the XRP ledger and the blockchain itself.
Absolutely. But yeah, AMM, you can already play with it. There is a small devnet out there by Ripple hosted, and you can play.
Sweet.
With it already.
Have you been playing with it?
Yeah, I've been setting it up, but I have I have to read more into it. I have some issues when I create a pool and I want to deploy XRP in it, right? Because I created a pool with XRP USD, and when I want to send XRP in, it says you don't have enough XRP, but I have. So I have to check what's up.
I wish FOMO was in here. FOMO already wrote a smart contract using Evernode that pulling Oracle data from multiple blockchains. I was
You're
like, dude,
such a beast. Yeah.
What? Yeah,
it's amazing. Honestly.
I hope he comes in this week so we can ask him about it.
And he even wrote today some recommendations. It's amazing. Like, he explored already so far. He said, yeah, with key management and hooks and Evernote, I think Evernote, he said, yeah, we gotta, put some thought into this and everything. I mean, you need people like him, right? Basically.
By the way, how is it? It works if you say put XRP into the AMM pool, and Can you like take it back whenever you want, or
Yeah,
what
you
if?
can take it back.
And what if the price of XRP just drops by 20%? Just say something. Is it a chance that you can be liquidated, or is it will they be totally safe?
You don't have it's not what is it? It's
You're-
not shorting or leverage.
Yeah, you would suffer impermanent loss.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So with this, you can go on a.
But
Like
if I remember correctly, so if you have a stable coin like USD and XRP, if XRP goes down and you have equal, then you good. You basically good, I think, because then your XRP is shrinking, I think, and your USD is accumulating. If that's, I don't know, I forget how it was, but in some positions are more advantages to you than others. So if XRP moons, you kind of more at a disadvantage because people will empty your XRP pool basically, and yeah, you basically left with USD. But if you redeem your USD and you want to buy back your stuff and everything, then you have less, and so on. This impermanent loss.
Yeah, that's kind of why like I've like I'm real burned by like my experiences with like AMMs, because for somebody like me that just kind of I just keep it simple. I set my I understand the need to be a market maker. Like, we need that liquidity to make the space grow. It's just so necessary. But, I learned the hard way that it's just probably not, my game to play because, like everybody's going to wash you with like the ARB bots are just going to wash you. And it's kind of like being a sheep walking into like a wolf's den,
Yeah, if you're gonna be legitimate market maker, you're gonna be professional. This is your Wall Street guys.
Yeah,
Like,
the regulation. That's exactly it. I mean, you're walking into a cage basically, and they're the only ones with the keys.
Yeah, you don't want actually, with these AMMs, you don't want um, high volatility in the sense if you don't want to be burned. I mean, if you want to profit as much as you can, then volatility is great in that sense because you can profit off of the skew and people coming in because you have the highest APY and everything, the whole farming thing that we have seen on other chains as well. um, basically the whole I predict we will see the whole stuff that we have seen last year 2021 with NFTs on the XRPL and these IOU tokens with AMM the same.
I think also, if I do remember David mentioning it, was single-sided liquidity pools for the native token like XRP, right? And so how would you be able to? Why would it be worth this? Well, and in most cases, if the liquidity and the volume is there, it should always outweigh the impermanent loss.
Exactly, but you time, right? You if you get in and you want to hop out 5 minutes later, then you probably there's a chance that you caught the wrong timing and you lost. But over time, all the fees and everything should definitely outweigh your short-term risks that you have. Yeah.
well, if you're only if you're only participating on one side of the liquidity pool, I believe the way it's set up is then you pay fees denominated in the liquidity pool token. If you're equal parts on both sides of the liquidity pool, then I think you don't actually pay those fees.
You know what, Karma? You know what? I have to explore it, but right now you need to specify two sites. Okay, so maybe there comes another function or another way to initialize a pool. But when I want to initialize a pool, or if I look like into the documentation, it says asset one required, asset two required. So if I don't specify these in my code, then it throws me an error. So
But that's if you're creating the pool. There's a difference between
Yeah.
creating the pool and like participating in the pool or trading in the pool. If you're creating the pool, of course you gotta have two. I mean,
but who sets this one-sided pool up, right? Someone has to set it up. So if Ripple or someone sets it up, then, but still they cannot have their own set of transactions that nobody else can use. They have to use the same rules that we use as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, this is what maybe this is something they're gonna add later on. Right now, it's not. I think maybe in the test DevNet focus. I don't know.
Sounds to me like Sounds like you're messing with setting up the pool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I create a pool, so I have a token, and I set up an AMM pool, right? But if you want to have a one-sided pool, right, an XRP pool, that does not surface from nowhere, right? So someone has to create it, and if someone has to create it, they have to use the same tools that I use or you use, and the current functionalities are basically requiring you to set up two assets. Granted, I did not test out what if you specify 2 times the same asset, right? Maybe this is the thing. If you do asset 1 XRP, asset 2 XRP, maybe this is our one-sided pool, right? Because it's the same.
No, Ben, you're actually correct. They mentioned in the documentation that they were starting off with the two-sided pools only, so the one-sided
Okay,
functionality
yeah.
just hasn't been added yet.
Yeah, it makes sense because hey, I mean, it basically told me, hey, required, and if I don't specify it, it throws errors.
Yeah, because the question.
I think you're mixing perspectives up. Any pool, it's got to have at least two sides. I mean, like any order book has to have two sides. That's the setup process. The one-sided pool part comes in terms of you're like a trader who's participating in the pool, and you could choose to only participate in one side of the pool. Like maybe you're only on the XRP side or only on the dollar side or something. And so you don't provide both XRP and dollars to the pool. You only provide one or the other. That's the one-sided part. But you can't have a pool. I mean, that'd be like saying you had an order book with only one asset on it. Like, well, then what the hell do you have an order book for? You just have a list of inventory. Like, there's no that wouldn't make sense.
You know what they did on the Stellar market makers, automated market makers? They had a couple pools with Ultra Stellar issued like yield bearing assets, like the YXLM and the YUSDC, where you'd swap it out for like the Y asset. But they were pegged to each other because it was the same asset essentially. And for lending it out, you would get 5% on your XLM or your USDC. And the AMMs had the trading pairs. You could provide liquidity for the XLM pair and the yield bearing asset. So it was an XLM YXLM pair and a USDC and a YUSDC pair, and you were getting like 20% like fees just for providing liquidity, and there was no risk of impermanent loss, right? Because the price was hedging.
Yeah.
And that was awesome for a while.
Yep. And it will be awesome as well. I mean, because the start is always good in that sense, because as I said, volatility is absolutely good for you if you just want to have to try it out and see where you're going, and maybe you're gonna have a 1,000% APY or whatever. And I'm sure, as I said, because everyone can set up these pools. You will have for every token. Like I see Casino Coin will have their own pool, and Expector probably, and all these tokens, right? And they will be lucrative in the beginning because you want to attract liquidity, right?
Well, the
Kevin, you
only
gotta
thing,
try to get out before the house burns down, though.
if you say swap, okay, inherently you're inferring two different assets, right? Because you're swapping between one and the other. The only other way to like sort of provide liquidity with a single asset, I think, would be a loan type of arrangement. I mean, I'm scratching my head if there's, I don't know how else.
Well, so all right, so I could see it like this: if you were a financial institution and you were utilizing the XRP ledger for liquidity, if you had a single-sided pool, I could see that as a use case for, like you said, almost in a sense, being loaned out for usage of that said liquidity. Other than that, um, yeah, it just being the inherent token that maybe that fees are paid for. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, see, it's the same with what we have seen on FLR Finance, right? Death. They had also the single-sided pool with what was the token? I forgot. Yeah, forgot. But they had like their own was the Canary, the CUSD. Yeah, they had like bunch of these single-sided pools, but yeah, you had to exchange first on other pools for them. So you go to a pair and you exchange your XRP for Casino Coin. Then you take that Casino Coin and go to a single-sided pool that only has Casino. This would work, right? Yeah, this would work. But you cannot trade against it, right? Because I mean, that pool would take then your currency, but it cannot. It can only take one, right?
Yeah, so you end up earning a lot less because it's right, just fees paid in transactions.
Yes.
But you still
Yeah.
have the ability to, in a safe manner, earn something for locking up your liquidity. So
Yeah. Yep.
kind of minus.
Actually, I did it because it was, I think, very safe. I mean, it was just basically no-brainer. They did wrapped songbird, and and everyone did it basically. They because outside of the lockup period, you just went to FLR Finance and you just could see like 400 million people staking wrapped songbird, and as soon as the voting period, for the weekly FTSO started, everyone just drained and went to their FTSO.
So, Karma, just real quick, you don't think that a loan product would in crypto would offer like unsecured loans, do you? Like that seemed like that would be way too risky.
No, the crux, the Achilles heel of loaning crypto is, let's say I send you 100 crypto, XRP, whatever, Bitcoin, doesn't matter. I don't have a way to force you to pay me back, right? Like, your keys, your crypto, like, you got it, man, right? Like outside of you being just a good dude and paying me back, how you have to solve that, it's an enforcement ability problem. This is one of the things where when I did the How X pool write-up, I tried to address this issue, but ultimately it's addressed through legal means, because it would be addressed through the business relationship between in the article, between Ripple and the exchanges, who are both, presumably legitimate businesses, and so they're going to have lawyers and they're going to have agreements between each other to manage this loan contract. But it's really, I don't know of anybody that has figured out the loan situation. Because I can't. How do you can't how you can't force someone to sign a transaction? Like, let's say you even wanted to pay me back and you were a good actor, but now you lost your keys. Now what? How are you going to pay me back?
You're getting to the point why I thought it was kind of like too risky to even be thought of as a viable idea, right? And I think some of these potential loan products were basically offering the loan by depositing collateral. So I guess you could use escrow to take the collateral, but if you already had the money, it goes back to like, why are you then taking the loan? So I'm still a little unclear about some of this stuff myself.
Oh, Space Kitty.
Well,
Yeah, sure. I just was going to say, I think it's really important to also note that because we are Web3, we do claim this wild, wild west. We self police ourselves, which generally means we actually don't do shit, to be perfectly honest. But because of those things, this is a space that actually very much attracts people who are looking to maybe not do the right things. And so, due to the undoxed nature of most individuals, combined with the fact that it's a space that naturally attracts predatory behavior, I think that increases the likelihood that loans would not be paid back unless absolutely there was some other method or other mechanism or whatever for the loan to be taken where trust is not required.
yeah, this was discussed for years, and I don't know of anybody that ever really came up with a solution. Because and you're right, but those market dynamics will change over time, and the people in participating in the market, like the market participants, will get more legitimate and less sort of scummy, if you will. But still, that doesn't change I mean, like even with RippleNet, like when banks sign up for RippleNet, I don't think it's public, but there's a contract that they have to sign. And one of the aspects in the contract that's addressed is payment reversibility. Because what happens if I fat finger a payment, right? And my bank sent your bank $1 million, but it was like in error. You got to send it back, right? So, but there's no way in the software to, like, nobody can force you to send it back. Maybe payment channels is kind of the closest thing.
But try this on as a scenario. Let's say, for instance, I'm sitting on, one full Bitcoin that's worth $20,000, but I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because it may appreciate in the future, right? Could you put up the Bitcoin in like an escrow, right? Borrow from the pool, right? So they get assured they can get paid back by the collateral of the Bitcoin, right? Would that be a viable mechanism that could work?
Yeah. I mean, in essence, that's basically what an AMM does. You provide collateral to the pool. The pool supplies liquidity to, like, a crowdsourced form of liquidity to the market, to whoever's, trying to consume the liquidity. Whoever needs to use the liquidity uses it, and there's a spread. And then the participants that provided the collateral to the pool get a portion of the spread, right? Like that's essentially how the money works.
Yeah, no doubt. I was just thinking, could that be facilitated via escrow dynamics without having to have that double-sided, so to say, kind of pool, right? I could just literally collateralize anybody's assets that wanted to take a loan from me. And as long as they pay me back in a timely fashion via smart contract, whatever, right, their collateral is good. But if they default, then the smart contract then takes from their collateral, and I'm good, right? Just be a product that I could create if I knew how to build or develop this shit.
I think that's how Coinbase does it. I mean, Coinbase, the borrow program on Coinbase, that's how I buy all my Bitcoin. Like I take my Bitcoin from my wallet and then I put it on my ledger rather. Then I send it to Coinbase, for whatever I want. They give you like 40%, I think you could borrow. And then I borrow against it. I buy my Bitcoin. And, if you get margin called, then they just sell it off. It's got to be through, right? It's got to be a smart contract on the back end that does that. And yeah, I mean, that's how I buy all my Bitcoin.
Well, Cash, so I know this sounds ridiculous, but like traditional traditional AMMs, you had to put the money in on both sides. With the way that Ripple and I haven't looked as much into the way Stellar does it, but I believe they're the only other one that has enabled like where you can participate in a liquidity pool, but only on one side. And the rest of them, you have to like put in, $100 and 100 XRP. Like you got to put in like a equal amount there, and that's where the impermanent loss risk. That's what introduces that risk exposure. But they by introducing the liquidity pool token, it gives like a third unit of value. So most AMMs are just going to be 2 units of value. When you introduce that third one, the way they've got it set up, it acts like almost like a balancing, like a it's like a balancing thing, like it it.
Oh no, I get it 100%. I'm just trying to think outside the box if there was a potential another way I could do business, right? Because I wouldn't want to be locked into having to create all of these different pools anytime different people had different collateral, right? It just seems easier for me that if we're going to this tokenized world, somebody might have a tokenized, vehicle, right? They might have a tokenized house. So if they could just use that tokenized house or car as collateral, and I can escrow it, right, and just ensure that I get paid back for the loan that they're taking from me, then it gives me a lot more flexibility than having to rely on all of these double-sided pools of hundreds of different denominations.
Here's a funny idea you just gave me. Imagine you tokenize your house, right? And so when your kids want to take a shower, they got to have the tokens. Well, they got to do their chores to get the tokens. So if they can't take a shower unless they do their chores, and then but it's just, within your household. So like nobody really cares.
I think you're going full CCP on the ability to control the IoT in the house. But Wolf, you got a question, man, and you got your hand up. I always love to hear what you have to say, and then Sauce, and then we're gonna have to close up the space right around 5 o'clock. So we got just a couple more minutes left, and we'll probably be closing up for tonight. But go ahead, Wolf.
Thanks, Seth. I just wanted to add up on the reversible transaction topic you brought up a bit earlier, because I don't see that could be something that you can add on a regular Zoom transfer from wallet to wallet, but maybe on the CBDC ledger, when the central banks can maybe set up a better solution there for reversible payments.
There was a comment that 808 made in the bottom right window, and I wasn't sure what he meant to it, but he said something about hooks being able to reverse the action. So I wish he could come up and speak, but I don't think he's able to come up.
That's an interesting idea.
He always has good things to say.
I wonder why Chris hasn't posted anything yet. Chris, what's up?
What's up? Sorry, I'm packing.
Oh, you pack? Yeah, because we are now over 80%. Actually, the timer is in.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks for telling us.
Yep,
that is great. All right, so
that's 20. And XRP scan has also a new feature. It's I think it's from Chris, but he has a countdown actually. So if you go into the amendments, you see the ETA countdown. Yeah, the clock is ticking now.
Yeah, if there's anything you guys want built or somebody to have, let me build it, and then everybody else steals it.
Exactly.
Just yeah, anything you want, it'll look like shit, but it'll get other people on board with these features. I also want to shout out to Space Kitty. If you guys don't follow her, she's an awesome space host.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
But Sauce, you got your hand up, man. I think
Yeah.
was up right after you.
Just wanted to, I kind of read the room and I figured it was kind of at the end point. I just want to say I appreciate the conversation you guys were having. It's always beneficial as always. That's basically it. And then to hold the whole CCP control style. I mean, yeah, I mean, if it's in your house, that's one thing. But I mean, if you're a tenant and you're not paying your rent, guaranteed, I'm going to limit your abilities. And I think I don't know. It could be a way to motivate somebody, or it can make someone just pissed off at you and say, "Oh, fuck my landlord, I'm not paying rent at all." But I mean, that's the implications. And if that's the case, it would actually take out squatters. It would just bring more accountability to the, like you say, Karma, accounting software. Very, very great conversation.
There's legal issues there, but you can already do that with the air conditioner. Because I was going to put the Nest thing in my house, because I would have tenants, they would run the AC too low, and it would, it just causes problems. And so I could, if I had installed, I didn't do this, but if I had, I could have controlled like the limitations of how low they could set the air conditioner, like from my phone, right? Like, so I don't know where the legal line is there, but because if you're, when you rent someone a house, it's called quiet enjoyment. They're supposed to be able to freaking live there and be, it's their house, right? Like, I mean, you can't just go show up at a tenant's house. You got to give them 24 hours notice. Like, you can't, yeah, you gotta, like, it's your house if you're renting it. Like, so there's going to be some sort of legal line there somewhere.
Yeah, you don't want to, and this is where, technology is always a double-edged sword, right? One thing can be used for great, can also be used for harm. And so the boundaries have to be set, and this is a big thing. Regulations, rules. We need a lot of this to be put in place before I think we have any set in stone. But yeah, definitely don't want that type of I don't know.
I mean, if they sign the contract and it's in the contract, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, not really. No. Now in commercial, yeah.
Yeah,
In commercial, that's true. But in residential, the law is heavily slanted towards the tenant.
I live in North Carolina, and I own a single family home now, but during my time when I was renting, it's actually allowed in the state for building management companies or landlords to include in the lease agreement for tenants to waive their right to quiet enjoyment in the lease. And they point this out, and you'd be surprised how many people sign those agreements and they just don't realize that they waive their right to that quiet enjoyment protection.
You know what's funny is a lot of the digital real estate platforms use Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee. They use all those states because those states have like very, like, I don't want to say lenient renter laws, but they're very intrusive in my opinion. They can be very intrusive, I should say.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was people, and this has not exactly what to do we're talking, but when the market was, in the run up before the crash, there was people that would go rent a house, so they have leasehold rights, and then they would pretend like they owned the house, and then they would sell the house on a quick claim deed, and somebody would buy the house and pay, 100, 200K or something. And, with the quick claim deed, you only get the rights that you own. Well, the only rights the person owned was the leasehold rights. So somebody essentially paid like 100, 200K to rent a house for a year. I mean, it was a scam that people were doing.
Yeah, that
Oh my
sounds like
God, I can tell you about a house scam. So I was like, one time I saved up a lot of, like, I saved up $17,000 to buy a house, right? And I was going to buy it from an owner. They had this house, I went in it, like everything looked normal, right? And then so it turned out there was these scammers that went all across the US, and they had talked people out of their homes who couldn't read and got them to sign contracts and whatever, and then would act like it had been their house for a long time. And so then they would take your money for a down payment, and then what would happen is they would leave the house sitting. They wouldn't give you, because the contracts would be not legitimate. So then the house would end up sitting, growing up in weeds, and no one could do anything about it. And they would move on to another place. Well, I was the last one that they were able to hit in our country. And so they ended up dipping off to the Philippines. I found them there, but like the government was having issues getting them back over here. But there's some shady shit that goes down. And
Hey,
like
Space Kitty, have
the
you heard
house.
about people who show up to homeowners, like their houses, and then they would have the deeds, they would have the deeds already annotated, essentially from the state, and they would charge like say $50,000. My ex had this happen to her. Somebody went to her house and said that house was theirs because the contract they signed about 10 years ago. There's something with like 2 contracts,
applications
and
that
they
you
wanted
know on
$50,000
applications such
to
as
basically fuck
Ethereum or
off, but
Songbird
they
and
had the
whatnot,
deed,
and it
and it
really
was just an
does
elaborate
just
scam,
open
kind of
it
like what you're
up
talking
as an
about.
option. But what Fleur are
Oh
doing are
man,
trying to
that
bring all
sucks.
of
I
these
hope they
EVM
open the wrong
compatible
door
networks
and
together,
that was
and not
random.
just them, but also other
Oh
networks
man,
such as
touches you on the
Bitcoin, for
side.
example, and all of
In
these
essence, what that's
networks which
alleging
lack
is the double
EVM
spend problem.
compatibility.
And that's
So we're
where,
currently
in
sitting
real
on
estate, you call it a chain of title.
59,500 subscribers.
In
So going
crypto,
pretty
we call
well.
it a blockchain.
And as you
That's
all
it.
know, we always do a big
It's the same
giveaway
concept.
at
It's
each
the
10,000
from
subscriber milestone.
provenance
So
to
stay
like
tuned for that.
1,
Probably give some more
2,
details,
3,
maybe
4,
even
like
next
each
week.
owner,
We're
everything's
going to jump
tracked.
straight in here with
This
Flurmetrics.
is
It's flurmetrics.io.
this is
And have a
what
quick look at the signal
at
provider
least in
statistics.
where I
Okay.
live, the
So
county
what you
clerk of courts do.
statistics. Okay.
Um,
So what you can do is give it a quick
This is
refresh
they
here.
track
Click
the
on
chain of
reward rate
title,
twice, so it's
and then
ordered
even
by descending.
still,
And the
you
top
have to have
5
title
heavy
insurance
hitters this week. In
because
number 1 spot, we've
sometimes
got
things can
Evolve
get screwed up.
FTSO. In
I only
second
know
spot,
of
we've
one
got
issue
Fleur Oracle.
where
Third place,
things
we
got
have
screwed up.
S-Code. Excuse me. And in fourth place, we have Ivy Oracle.
And
Finally, fifth place.
But it was
O1
because the seller
FTSO.
was
So
was
looks like the
basically
usual
fraudulent
suspects, but I guess these
and
two get
tried to
a
do a
notable
double
mention
spend
for having
essentially.
being in the top
He
5, but
sold the
also
house to
distributing
somebody I
additional
know,
assets too. So
and then
that's
he
always
sold it
great
again
to see.
to another couple.
Each
And
10,000 subscriber milestone.
that's like a double spend. You can't do that. So
Yeah, when I was looking for a house, I came across this guy that wanted cash only for the house, but it was weird because there was still furniture inside, like family pictures and couches, and he was saying that it was his sister's house and he was selling it for her, and he only dealt in cash transactions. That was the most shadiest thing ever, bro. And it obviously was like what you're saying, a double spend cash scam type deal. But then again, if I were to give him the cash and try to move in, it's actually a common scam. People try to move in, but the person's still there. It's pretty elaborate. I don't know how they get caught, but obviously they get caught somehow.
Well, I mean, it's, there's only so many people you can hurt before somebody catches on and finds out your information, your IP address, and comes and questions you. But I have to cut it here. We went over a couple minutes over. I'm sorry, but I just want to thank everybody who comes to this space every day. Right, we wouldn't be doing these spaces if it wasn't for everybody who shows their faces here, comes up and asks questions, and especially the panelists who come up and provide information with us. Also, I thank everybody who comes. And I just want to say nothing you've heard here today is financial advice, and the panelists' views do not necessarily represent those of ledgerscale. We host these spaces Monday through Friday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, and on Wednesday we host a focused topic space from 5 to 6. And I hope I see everybody here tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, Death, I got to get with you on for Wednesday's thing because we got to schedule a meeting. I think I got somebody to come in.
Cool, awesome. Space Kitty, if you want to go ahead and we'll finish up.
Yeah, no problem. I was just gonna invite you over to my space. It's on my wall. It's pinned for Donkey Kicks. I think you guys would really enjoy it because it's like an actual way to use, like, they sell you IP rights, but then get this, they actually take those and put them on a product for you and handle all of the shipping, all of the product, all of everything. So you are not buying useless IP rights, and that's the coolest thing I found so far in the space right now. as far as like on Ethereum at the moment. That's coming out in Bear. So I'd like to invite everybody out if you're interested in that kind of thing, because I think it's going to be super, super lucrative.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there to ask you a whole bunch of questions about it. Too Cold, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, just thanks for pulling me up. Another great call per usual, Karma and Def Ranger and Ledger Scale. I just wanted for us to close out on a even better note. XLS20 timer has started. We have 82% on the XLS20 votes when mint day clock is already ticking.
100%. We said it a couple minutes ago, but I think you might have not been in the space for that moment, actually.
Oh, my bad.
But you're the best, though. Still, thank you. All right, you guys.
Thanks for speaking up, and appreciate everybody who joins in 100%. And I hope everybody gets some value out of the conversations. If you do want to donate, there's some things at the top of the Ledger Scale account. And then, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know, Death, have you got anything else?
No, that's it. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. See everyone tomorrow.
Take care.